Hello everyone and welcome to my Mario Party 1 minigame tier list. I did this with Mario Party Superstars, and since I already completed my Mario Party series, I felt like the time was right. So I'm going to be going over from best to worst what I think each minigame is in Mario Party, and I'm actually, unlike my other list, going to try to put this in the exact order. So that should be fun. Pretty much, I'm going to be looking at things like how much fun a game is, how unique it is. You know, I'm going to be pretty harsh on this one because it was the first Mario Party and they were doing a lot of testing, as you can tell, and kind of trying to figure out what would work and what wouldn't. So don't be surprised if there's a lot of low grades, but here we go. Let's get started. So first up is Buried Treasure, which has you digging around. It's a 4v4 minigame. We're starting off with the 4v4 ones. And the goal is to find the hidden chests using whatever hints you can find throughout the dirt. So I really enjoy this one. I would put it in the great tier. I find that it's not too long of a minigame, and it's definitely really fun with friends. Unfortunately, sometimes you can get lucky and find the chest super easily, but it's always a frantic minigame, and I absolutely adore it, so I'm going to put it in the great tier. Next up is Treasure Divers, another 4-player minigame. I'm probably just going to be running through the 4-player ones first. In this one, you basically are battling it out with every other character to get the most coins out of the chests and dodge the shark and bloopers under the water. I find this one to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to put it in the fantastic tier. So already a really good start to Mario Party, but this one is really a ton of fun and probably one of, if not my favorite minigames in Mario Party 1. Next we have Hot Bob-omb, which is a minigame where you're tossing around a bomb that's about to explode with 4 players. There's really not much to it. Only one person loses and everyone else, all the other characters I believe, get that player's coins. Pretty interesting concept. Mario Party 1 was very harsh compared to a lot of the newer ones. But I don't think there's really much to this game. It's definitely fun, though, seeing who ends up with the bomb. You could focus on one player if they're doing well and make them, you know, fight to survive. But honestly, I'd just probably put it in the average tier. I think that's a fair rating. Next, we have Musical Mushroom, which is basically like musical chairs, except you have to run up and catch the treasure chest, or at least touch it, to get the coins from it. Unfortunately, the game is extremely short, and there's not much to it. The AI is brutally good at this too. They usually react super fast, but I'm just not too impressed with it. I'd probably just put it in the poor tier. It's extremely short and there's not much to it, so that's all I have to say about it. Crazy Cutter is my first minigame so far where it's battling for another spot in the same tier. So I'm going to put Crazy Cutters in Fantastic, and I'm actually going to put it behind Treasure Divers because I like that more. But in this game, you're essentially just cutting out a picture that they give you. There's a few different kinds, and I'm pretty sure as long as you hit the right number, you win. It's creative, it's fun, it was difficult on the N64 controller. I think it's a fantastic example of a Mario Party minigame. So that's why I'm putting it there. Next is Facelift, which once again is fighting for another tier. We're going to put it in Fantastic, and I'm going to put it over Crazy Cutter. But behind Treasure Divers. Obviously, you guys can see how big I am on Treasure Divers. But Facelift is a fantastic minigame where they give you a picture and kind of switch it up, change it up, and you have to adjust the face that you get to match the picture in the middle. It's simple concept, but it's executed very well, and it's intense with friends. Next, we have Balloon Burst, which is going to be my first game in the good tier. It's another simple concept. You're just basically blowing up a Bowser balloon, and the first to make him pop wins. It's pretty much a quick button masher, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, I mean, it's good, there's nothing wrong with it, but I also wouldn't consider it, you know, to be anything special. Next is Coin Block Blitz, where Mario Party 1 really starts showing its age. It's probably one of the simplest minigames of them all. You're pretty much just jumping into question mark blocks and beating your opponents to it, I guess, seeing who can get the most coins. You can quickly jump on someone's head to get the block over them, but that's really the extent of the gameplay on this one. I'm going to put it in the poor category, yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Next is Skateboard Scamper, which I'd probably normally have in terrible, but I'm trying to be fair here. It's one of my least favorite games in Mario Party 1, but with friends it can be kind of intense. I'm going to put it in the poor tier. Against the AI, it seems like they perfectly mash A, and it ruins the minigame for me because no matter how hard I push, or mash B, I'm sorry, you jump with A in this one, it just feels like an unbalanced minigame, and there's not much to it. You're just jumping over stuff and getting to the finish line. Next is Mountain Mayhem, which also kind of feels like an afterthought showing its age minigame. You just run up and hit different boxes and try to get coins out of it. And they're in a corner, and sometimes you get a box that will throw you back to the middle, and that's really the extent of the minigame. I'm actually going to throw it in average behind Hot Bob-omb, so yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Next is Platform Peril, which in my opinion is the better version of Skateboard Scamper. By how much though? Not much. You're basically running instead of on a skateboard to the end, and you're jumping over platforms, trying to get money along the way and dodge bricks. That's really the extent of the minigame, so I'm going to put it in average behind Hot Bob-omb and ahead of the box minigame. Next is the absolute GOAT of Mario Party 1, one of the best minigames ever in the Mario Party series in my opinion. It's Mushroom Mix-Up. So in this one, Toad holds up a flag with a color, and you basically just have to jump to the color that he says. So it's almost like Simon Says, but you're facing all the other opponents, and you can ground pound them, you can jump on their heads, but basically it's just stay out of the water. It's a very intense minigame, and it's hilarious with friends. So in my opinion, it's S tier, and it's going in the #1 spot. Next is Grab Bag, not as exciting. You're running around basically trying to steal from other people's bags on their backs. That's the extent of the minigame, not much to it. I'm gonna put it high tier poor. I feel like they could have done more with it. It's just very simple. Next is Bumper Balls, which was my absolute favorite as a kid. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this video have Bumper Balls as their favorite minigame. It's definitely going in the S tier for fantastic. Now, where in S tier is a tough debate. I would say over the years, I'm going to slide it behind Facelift and Treasure Divers, along with, of course, Mushroom Mix-Up. Fourth in the S tier, and people are going to say, oh, come on, that's terrible, like, how could you? It's a ton of fun, it's hilarious with friends. I wish it was easier to bounce people off the terrain or off the island you're on. I find that no matter how much speed you build up, as long as 2 people are left, it's usually hard to eliminate the other person. So, just my opinion, that's what keeps it from being higher in my S tier list. Next is Tipsy Tournament, which I'm sure you guys all know since I think they brought it back to like 2 different Mario parties. But I don't know why either. I feel like it's a very average minigame. You're just finishing a puzzle with a Koopa shell, basically flipping the pieces when the Koopa shell touches it by running to each side of the board. There's really nothing crazy about it. I would consider it a very average minigame. I'm probably going to slide it right ahead of Hot Bob-omb, top of the average tier. Next is Bombs Away, and I know what you all are thinking. This minigame is far superior in Mario Party 2, and you're right, you're not wrong. That being said, I still think it's a great minigame, and I'm actually going to put it right behind Buried Treasure. You have to basically dodge the cannonballs with the other characters on a little island, and if you get hit by the cannonball, or you get dizzy by the cannonball by not jumping in time, you could fall off and lose. So there's a lot going on in such a simple concept, so that's why it's so high up. Next is Mario Bandstand, one of their earliest takes on a rhythm game. It's really simple. You're either conducting or playing an instrument, and all you have to do is time your A button presses to match the notes, or the instrument on the timeline. So it's pretty simple, not much to it. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it though either. I'm probably going to put it in the good tier in first place. So that's where I'm going to put Mario Bandstand. That looks good. Next is Shy Guy Says, which has also been brought back in pretty much other Mario parties. A bunch, honestly. It's been redone to death, but for good reason. In my opinion, it's one of the great minigames, and I'd probably put it in third. Basically, Shy Guy holds up a flag with a or B on it. It's definitely one of the hardest versions, in my opinion, as you got to be very quick, especially against the AI. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a damn good minigame, though, and I'm going to put it in the great tier. So. Next is Castaways, which is an odd one. I really felt like for a minigame, they had a really good idea going here. The problem is the execution, as it's all timing based, and the timing is very awkward. Now, you can get pretty good at this game, but I've always found it complicated to play, especially on the original N64 controllers. I'm going to put it as like a high tier poor, probably the highest rated game in the poor category. I feel like they could have done a lot more with this game, but instead it's a straight timing based, analog stick pickup item game, and Yeah, not much to it. Next is Keep Away, which is a really interesting game from Mario Party 1 that I don't believe they ever brought back. So basically, you and all the 3 other players have to work together to bring the key to this big safe to unlock it, and you have to keep it away from these mini-looking troll Bowser creatures. I don't know, they're frightening little things. I don't know what the actual name is for them, but I'm going to put this in the great tier, probably behind Shy Guy Says. If it was a little bit longer, I think it'd be more fun, but it's a very short minigame, although creative. Next is Running of the Bulb, and this might surprise some of you, but it's actually going to go in my final spot in the Fantastic tier. It just barely makes it. And Running of the Bulb, you basically work together as a team, and you have to fight off ghosts as one person has I believe it's a key to the end energy meter or whatever, electric meter. And when you get the key there, it gets all the boos and they run away. But honestly, it's a neat concept, and I wish they'd bring it back. It was a fantastic minigame for its time. Yes, for everyone laughing at me, I know it's a bulb. It's not a key. I made a mistake. It's okay. Next is Hot Rope Jump, which has also been kind of a redone minigame in the newer ones. I believe they brought it back multiple times. In the original Mario Party, I thought it was just good. I'm probably going to put it right behind Mario Bandstand. The controls and jumping felt a little wonky, although like I said, the concept was great. They really improved upon this jump roping game in the future. Next is Hammer Drop, which in my opinion is one of the best coin games ever made, and it was really cool how it was in Mario Party 1. I'm going to put it in the great tier towards the bottom though. It's definitely a great concept. I don't think there's that much to it to make it go any higher than where I'm putting it on my list, but basically you have the Hammer Bro on the cloud throwing down coins, money bags, and hammers, and you have to dodge the hammers and get the coins without falling off the platform, and it's just absolutely hectic, and I love it. Now, I don't remember my Mario Party Superstars tier list, but Slot Car Derby is always a really, really fun minigame to play. And in Mario Party 1, I feel like it's very well fleshed out, and timing is everything. When you start seeing the smoke, you have to stop. But when you're good to go, you're good to go. You push the control stick up and you keep moving. Definitely a lot of timing and technique to it. I'm going to probably put it behind Bumper Balls in the Fantastic tier. Next is Pipe Maze, which is my first terrible tier minigame. Woohoo! So the reason behind this is Pipe Maze is pretty much complete RNG. You basically, one person gets to choose the outcome here. One person gets to drop the treasure chest in the pipes, and they go down tubes that you get about a millisecond to actually see where they go, and someone ends up getting the coins. I find it to be the beginning of basically the worst types of minigames in Mario Party in the series in general. Another one of my least favorite minigames in here is Bash and Cass. I'm going to put it in terrible, a little higher than Pipe Maze because it's not necessarily RNG. But basically, one player gets punished as Bowser in the Bowser suit, and the other 3 players hit them with a hammer. You can lose a ton of coins in this game, and there's very little on the side of the Bowser player to escape. I don't know why this game is included. Alright, we're bringing back more positive vibes here with Bowl Over. One of my favorite minigames in Mario Party 1, actually. It's basically a 1v3 minigame where one player gets to throw a shell at a bunch of other characters as bowling pins, and when you hit them, you get their coins. I think it's a pretty creative minigame, and although it's short, it gets the job done. I'm going to put it in the good tier in first place. Now we have Coin Block Bash, which is the far superior version of this game, the one with the question mark blocks. That being said, it's still kind of simple. I really appreciate how they added a hammer in this one. One player gets a hammer to easily smack down blocks or kick away other players. And when done right, it's extremely useful. I'm going to put this in the average category, probably in second. I think that's a good spot for it. Next we have Tightrope Treachery, which I don't know how people feel on it. Probably very mixed opinions. In this game, it's a 1v3 as you walk along a tightrope and try to avoid the other players hitting you with cannonballs, and you basically have to watch the wind and not fall off. I feel like it's a very creative minigame, and maybe for the time they were very limited. I'm actually going to throw it into good, even though it's just going to be basically in fourth. I still like what it is. It could have been more for sure, but it plays well when I play it. So. Next is Crane Game, which might piss some people off with this one, but in my opinion, it's a terrible minigame. I'm probably going to put it in second. I find that it's just unbalanced. I don't know. I have a lot of trouble playing it against the AI. It's extremely short, and there's not much to it. It's pretty much just a free either loss or gain for one player. Next is Piranhas Pursuit. If you watched my Mario Party Superstars tier list, you'd know I wasn't as high as it in Superstars, but the original Piranhas Pursuit is a great minigame. I'm trying to figure out where to put it. I'll probably put it in 5th in the great tier. You get punished as the solo player if you make a mistake. You get rewarded as the 3 if you play well. There's a lot of strategy with hitting the cloud correctly and getting the rain on the plant. And you have to be really good to dodge the oncoming things coming at you. So this is a really, really good 1v3 minigame. Definitely one of the best ones they have in Mario Party 1. Tug of War. Why does this game exist and why did they bring it back in future games? I have no idea. It's one of the games where you have to use your palm or your fingers, I don't know, to rotate the joystick. Really bad idea. Absolutely terrible. I'm probably just going to put it in last and terrible for now. It's extremely short usually, or it's painfully average, and it can start ripping up your hands, so bad game. Next is Paddle Battle, another 1v3 game where you have to rotate the joystick. Now you're probably thinking I was going to throw this right and terrible. You'd actually be wrong. I think this is the best use of rotating the joystick in Mario Party 1. I'm going to throw it in poor, but I'm going to have it as the best poor game that they have to offer if it lets me. There we go. Okay, in the one spot. You basically shift side to side in a paddle boat, trying to get the Shy Guys to hit the other team to get you coins. This is a really fun one with friends, even more fun in my opinion with AI because you can really abuse them. But it makes use of a mechanic that I'm glad they stopped doing because, yeah, you guys know why if you know the history behind it. Next is Coin Flower Shower, which I'm probably just going to throw an average. It's a coin minigame where you run along a sunflower and the coins fall and you have to catch them and not fall in the water. It's probably one of the best average games I could come up with, but still, there's really not much to it. Just a fun coin minigame. I'm going to throw it in high average. Now, Bobsled Run in Mario Party 1, in my opinion, is a fantastic minigame. I'm actually going to put it, if it's going to let me, 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th behind Bumper Balls. This is Bobsled Run done right. It's not too long, it's not too short, it's got great mechanics, it's intense mostly throughout, even against the AI, and there's certain spots where you can easily fall off, and you have to be very careful no matter who you're playing against. I always love when this one pops up. It's just a ton of fun to get to the end. The next minigame is Desert Dash, where there's a giant thwomp in the middle of the minigame that you might get squashed by, but basically you're working with another person against 2 opponents to move left and right at the same time, and that'll get you forward closer to the finish line, and the more in sync you are, the faster you'll go. I'm going to throw it in good right there, right in 5th. Next is Bombskip Ball, which might be the most underrated minigame in Mario Party 1. I seriously have no idea why they've never tried to bring it back in any form at all whatsoever. I'm actually going to put it in 3rd, and I know people are going to be like, whoa, ahead of Bumper Balls and Facelift, but Bombskip Ball, you work with a teammate against 2 others to get a bomb into a Bowser-shaped basketball hoop, and you can pass to the opponent, you can swipe the bomb away. All you have to do is get close to kind of launch it in the hoop. But this type of minigame, in my opinion, is such a great idea, and they did what they could for the time being with the technology they had. I think in the future this could have been an even better minigame, but I'm shocked they've never tried to bring it back. For me, it's in the fantastic tier. I'm going to put it 3rd. I hope the gameplay kind of helps prove my point on how fun it is. Next is Car Havoc, another 2v2 minigame. What makes Car Havoc higher on my list than it normally would be, because it's just kind of a button masher, is the fact that you actually have to control the cart when you're going around turns to make sure you stay on the track. And in my opinion, that's what keeps it from being an average minigame. I'd probably throw it in good, right behind Hot Rope Jump. I'm never like super happy when it pops up, but I know it's not the worst minigame in the world, and it's got a little bit of technique to it, so I'm going to throw it in 4th and good. Next we have Deep Sea Divers, which is like the 2v2 version of Treasure Divers. That being said, it's definitely not as good, but it's still unique and fun, and how the camera zooms out as you go deep in the ocean to get treasure chests, I find very interesting. I'm gonna throw it in the great tier, basically in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in 6th. So it definitely is one of the better mini games in Mario Party. I just feel like there's not enough to it, and it's also a pretty long mini game. So next we have Memory Match, and we're starting to get into the solo player mini games. Whenever you see this mini game as the solo player, you jump for joy because it is a horrendously easy mini game. Very hard to lose, near impossible. You're just doing basic matching. I'm gonna throw it in terrible, probably on the high end of terrible, probably like the best terrible game. They really should have made it so that you have a chance to lose, but like unless you can't remember like 3 or 4 things, it's basically a win every time mini game. Next is Slot Machine, which is exactly what it sounds like. I wouldn't consider it a terrible mini game, but there's not much to it. You're just kind of matching the different icons on the slot machine to get coins, you know, or a prize. So really, I'm just gonna probably throw it in poor and put it on the higher end. So yeah. Next is Shell Game, and you could really tell in Mario Party 1 they didn't really know what they were doing for solo player games. They were just kind of going for like basic concepts, I guess. In this one, you're just picking the turtle that's holding the treasure chest. Basically like a cup and ball trick game. You know, guess the right Koopa. I'm gonna put it in low tier average. It's definitely not a terrible mini game, but there's really not much to it. Not that creative either. Next we have Ghost Guess, which is like the ghost version of the Koopa game, except you have to guess the ghost. It's different from the others. I'm also gonna throw it in average, probably just low tier average. Nothing really special about it. They were just, I guess, running out of ideas for solo player games. So next is Pedal Power, and I know I'm running out of space on the screen for you guys to be able to see the tier list. At the end, I promise I will take the TV off the screen and you'll be able to see the tier list in full, and we'll go over it one more time. Pedal Power is a terrible minigame. It's one of those ones where you use your palm again to rotate the control stick. I believe it's low tier, terrible. Probably would put it somewhere about there, though. It's not as bad as the ones before it. Next we have Whack-A-Plant, which goes to show if you do a simple concept in a fun way, it can still work out as whatever character you're using, you're jumping on the Piranha Plant's heads and collecting coins by doing it consecutively. And it's a great solo player game to get a ton of coins. It's a lot of fun to play. I just think it's too long, and therefore I'm going to put it in high tier average. I think it should have been slightly shorter. It's definitely a chore to sit through when another player is playing. Now we finally got to Ground Pound. In my opinion, it is the worst minigame in Mario Party 1. Terrible list at the far right end. And the reason behind that is because it's so simple. They designed it terribly. You can see exactly the stumps you need to ground pound on to win. I don't know what they were thinking with this one, but it's definitely an age thing. This was a Mario Party 1. They didn't know what to do for solo game mistake. So Teetering Towers, in my opinion, is actually one of the more creative solo player mini games they had, where you're jumping from platform to platform, and there's different platforms that have coins or coin bags that are nice to collect to help, you know, your way to the end. And I've lost and won on this one and seen the AI do the same. So to me, I would consider this actually great tier. Right after the two-player version of Treasure Divers. I don't remember what it was called, but we're going to throw it right there. So that's a really good spot for it, and I think it's the only solo player game I'm going to put that high. Next we have Knock Block Tower. I really don't have much to say about this one. It's a pretty simple minigame where you kick the blocks and eventually kick the treasure chest to get coins. Once again, they really didn't have much to work with, I guess, for solo player ideas. I'm probably going to throw it in average. Where to put it in average, though? That's a tough one. I'm probably going to throw it in front of Hot Bob-omb. Next we have Limbo Dance, which I despised as a child, but as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate it. You have to properly time your button pushes to limbo underneath the limbo sticks, and some of them are higher, some of them are lower. Over time, I've grown to appreciate it. I don't think it's a bad solo player game at all, and I'm probably going to put it also in the great tier in last place. So at least we have another solo game that got a spot higher than just average or poor. And last, we have Bumper Ball Maze. These were some fun side mini games that I think you could unlock by playing. I'm probably just gonna throw it in good. Probably gonna throw it in like good ahead of Mario Bandstand. It's a fun mini game. It's a shame it doesn't show up in any solo player mini games. I feel like it'd be perfect for solo player. It is a little long though, so maybe that's why they chose not to do it. Still, you know, it's a good mini game. It's fun. So here's my final definitive tier list for Mario Party 1. We have 9 games in Fantastic, 9 games that are great, 8 games that are good. We have 10 games that I think were average. You have only 7 games that are poor, and 7 games that are terrible. Just overall, the game is very polarizing on what's good and what's not, what worked, what didn't, what felt out of place. But in my Fantastic tier, it's a shame that half those minigames have never been properly brought back into their original form. So I hope one day that's the case. Even some of the great ones, like Keep Away, I'm big on. So I hope you enjoyed my list. I hope you agree with some of it. And be sure to leave an opinion in the YouTube comments about how you feel about my list. Maybe give your own list, or, you know, share with me your thoughts about what I put in a bad spot or a good spot. Really appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more content. I'll see you soon.